In the months leading up to January 6, 2021, Donald Trump and many others planned an insurrection. They planned to overturn the results of a free and fair election. On January 6, 2021, Donald incited that very insurrection. Did he succeed? Well, not on that day. He did not. But he did eventually. He succeeded when he got his way back into the Oval Office in November of 2024. That was the day we found out with absolute certainty that the insurrection Donald Trump incited had actually been successful. And for me, that was the first of the many unconstitutional, wrong, constitutional crises this country has been facing ever since. Today, we are seeing the continuing crisis in Los Angeles, a crisis that is the direct result of another act of incitement by Donald Trump and his minions. Peaceful protesters who have been protesting for months now against the Trump regime, against its inhumane and unconstitutional immigration policies, were doing so again in Los Angeles. And Donald decided to take that as an opportunity to do what he's been wanting to do for years now. Turn himself into an autocrat who is completely unbound by the rule of law and by the Constitution, a document he's never read, but shreds on a daily basis. So the question then becomes, are we going to let that happen? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is great to be here with you. Once again, it felt like we did not have a weekend. Yeah, it's a thing now. But it is Monday. But there has been a lot going on since last we saw each other on Friday for Mary Trump Live. We've been watching protests break out across the country in response to Donald and his authoritarian regime. Today, Donald took the opportunity to ramp up the violence even further, and he is deploying the Marines, their active duty military, to Los Angeles after he had already usurped the power of California's Governor Gavin Newsom to deploy the National Guard. Let's take a look at CNN's coverage.
We have breaking news now from the Pentagon. CNN can now report that roughly 500 Marines are being mobilized in response to the protests in Los Angeles.
And this is a significant escalation from President Trump, who had activated National Guard troops over the weekend without Governor Gavin Newsom's consent. In this new move, active duty military members are being deployed as a show of force against U.S. citizens.
This is something that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth had previewed over the weekend. He said that if necessary, he would deploy the Marines to Los Angeles to help federal agents with handling the protests there. And it appears now that these Marines, according to our sources, they have been mobilized. These 500 Marines, a full Marine battalion based out of 29 Palms, California, which is just outside San Bernardino, about an hour away from Los Angeles. They have been mobilized and they are gearing up to go and help ICE agents as well as other federal officials deal with these protests in Los Angeles. Importantly, they're going to be bolstering as well the National Guard, guardsmen and women who have been activated in Los Angeles by President Trump. But as you said, it is a significant escalation of the president's use of the military as a show of force against these protesters. It's really not clear, the last time Marines were deployed to help essentially with riot control, though it's unclear at this point just what their actual tasking will be.
There are a lot of things that are unclear, but let's provide some context here. The deployment of the National Guard hasn't happened without a governor's consent since 1965. Now, as we know, the National Guard in states is often deployed to help with natural disasters or the aftermath of natural disasters as ordered by the state's governor. The event in 1965, in which the National Guard was deployed without the governor's consent, was the Civil Rights March from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. And that's because the governor refused to protect peaceful protesters, and President Johnson knew that horrific things would happen if those protesters were not protected from local police officers. Now, Donald Trump is deploying the Marines to Los Angeles, which may very well be the first time in United States history that a president has sent in active duty troops, basically to act against American citizens with or without the permission of the government. This is not a thing that is supposed to happen. This is called posse comitatus. This is not supposed to happen. We all know how it turns out when presidents act as if they are above the law and that they are unbound by any authority. We know what is happening here. Donald, once again, is pushing the envelope to see what he can get away with. Donald is determined to usurp for himself all of the power that belongs to other officers, other branches of government. And as always, once again, he is on the wrong side of history. But because the Marines aren't enough for him, Donald is also threatening protesters with further backlash. Take a look at what he had to say on his failing social media site. Quote, "If they spit, we will hit." This is a statement for the President of the United States concerning the catastrophic Gavin Newsom inspired by riots going on in Los Angeles. The insurrectionists have a tendency to spit in the face of the National Guardsmen, women, and others. If they spit, we will hit, and I promise you they will be hit harder than they have ever been hit before, unquote. Well, Donald, that is exactly what we expect of you. But I also think it's fair to say that is exactly where we should have known this was tending. The immaturity, the viciousness, the cruelty, the stupidity, the grotesque grasping for power, the insecurity, the psychiatric problems, the lack of impulse control, on and on and on and on and on. This is not the person you want in charge at a time of crisis. This is certainly not the person you want in charge at a time of a crisis of his own making. Again, this is the same person who condoned, planned, and incited the January 6th insurrection, where his loyalists brutally beat and attacked law enforcement officers who were there to protect American citizens, most of them in the Capitol building, who were there to do what? Their job, to certify the 2020 election. And yet, Donald is still defending those people. In fact, he commuted the sentences for the absolute worst of them, and he pardoned most of them. So these people got away with one of the greatest crimes against America with total impunity. And now this miscreant in the Oval Office is referring to Americans who are exercising their First Amendment right to protest his vile policies, insurrectionists. And he is unleashing law enforcement and active military and the National Guard against them. This has nothing to do with making sure America is safe from invasion. This has nothing to do with whoever has the moral high ground. Donald Trump and the people with whom he surrounds himself are utterly amoral. This is about control, and this is about figuring out just how much power he can accrue for himself. All of this comes after a weekend during which Donald's thug, a guy named Tom Homan, threatened to arrest Gavin Newsom. Of course, the California governor quickly rebuked Homan on national TV. However, because Donald likes it this way, Donald wants to see the fight. Donald needs to stoke the flames. Donald needs more chaos. When he was confronted on the White House lawn earlier today with this threat, this is what he had to say.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it?
I would do it if I was Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing.
Ooh, Gavin likes publicity. I mean, I'm not saying Gavin doesn't like publicity, but nobody likes publicity more than that scumbag who was just talking and smirking. A couple of things here. First of all, Tom Homan has no authority to arrest anybody, including himself. Secondly, let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think Donald would get a lot of publicity if somebody arrested him? I'd be down with that. Anyway, nobody is arresting Gavin Newsom. The threats are empty, but it is, again, all part of the spectacle. Luckily, Newsom is not backing down. California is suing the Trump regime for its overreach. Take a look here at California Attorney General Rob Bonta's statement.
I, in partnership with Governor Gavin Newsom, are suing President Trump and asking the court to set aside the president's unlawful action federalizing the California National Guard.
The lawsuit names Donald's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the Department of Defense and claims that not only because the takeover occurred without the consent or input of the governor, in fact, actively against the governor's wishes, which is what federal law requires, it was also completely unwarranted. Again, these protests were peaceful. And California has a vast law enforcement agency. I believe there's something like 75,000 officers in California and 9,000 in Los Angeles County alone. I'm pretty sure they can handle whatever comes at them. But nothing was coming at them because these protests were peaceful and people were there to protest ICE and its illegal, potentially, and unconstitutional incursions into their neighborhoods, their unconstitutional kidnapping of their neighbors. That's what it is to be an American, isn't it? So I'm glad that Governor Newsom is standing firm and that the Attorney General of California is instituting these lawsuits. The problem is that takes time. And the damage is already being done. The question here, and it's an important one, is who, while this all continues to unfold, is going to control the narrative. Just very quickly, please take a minute to like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel on YouTube or rate and follow the podcast. So the chaos we're seeing across the country under Donald's administration is just full of chaos. I mean, it's echoing the chaos within the Trump regime and the country at large. The White House is struggling to fill key senior roles around Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth because he is a weak, feckless, and quite frankly, utterly incompetent Secretary of Defense. He's incapable of providing leadership, and nobody wants to follow this guy. At least 3 candidates have rejected job offers. Both the White House and Hegseth are vetoing each other's picks, a sign that their egos are clashing. That sounds very familiar. This also follows a bizarre spring purge in which Hegseth had longtime aides escorted out of the Pentagon over leak allegations that now appear to have been baseless. and who, of course, could forget Signalgate. And I so wish we could stop calling things Gate. But anyway, that was a massive scandal that would have ended the career of everybody involved in any prior administration. A looming Inspector General report is expected to find that Hegseth himself shared classified military details in a private Signal chat. The fallout has already delayed Donald's Golden Dome missile defense plan to the extent that that is the thing that could even be achievable. And it's left the Pentagon without a formal budget. And insiders say J.D. Vance and other leaders are increasingly worried about the potential damage Hegseth could do because he's an embarrassment. Well, maybe you guys should have thought of that before you thought it was such a great idea to hire a Fox weekend host to run the largest agency on the planet that has to do with protecting our national security. Just a thought. The Trump regime's incompetence is truly astounding, although, again, not surprising. And the science community, thankfully, is beginning to strike back. In an extraordinary act of defiance, 92 scientists and staff at the National Institutes for Health signed a public letter on Monday denouncing what they call politically driven sabotage of American biomedical research. The quote-unquote Bethesda Declaration, addressed to Donald's NIH Director Jay Bhattacharya and Health Secretary Robert Kennedy, accuses leadership of slashing $12 billion in research grants, halting clinical trials midstream, and risking patient safety under the guise of restoring trust in science. Actually, the scientists warn the agency is, quote, squandering public trust and resources, unquote, in service of Donald's political agenda. The unprecedented revolt spans all of the 27 NIH institutes. Over 250 more staff endorsed the message anonymously out of fear of retribution. The letter added the following, quote, we are compelled to speak up when our leadership prioritizes political momentum over human safety, unquote. Bhattacharya, who once championed dissent as a core scientific value, now faces the ultimate test of that principle from within his own agency. And this is really important because the similar things are happening throughout every single agency in the government because of the Trump regime's approach. Its ill-considered, ignorant approach to getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse by slashing personnel and destroying departments within agencies that actually served a purpose. What is happening at NIH is what it looks like when civil servants understand their mission and understand their mandate, and it will be extraordinarily good if they continue to fight back in this way. As communities like this are left with no choice but to resist authoritarian rule, many want to know how to stay safe. I mean, I think that's a topic on a lot of people's minds, especially given what's going on in Los Angeles and how that may bode for upcoming protests. As we know, there are going to be quite large ones, hopefully, this weekend, which we'll get to in a little bit. So for today's emotional support moment, we've decided to go a slightly different route. I promise you we will get back to the kittens and the penguins and the puppies and the dolphins and the constellations. I promise you. But with all this going on, I know a lot of people feel powerless. A lot of people feel tired. And while we here at American Media understand the tired part, we are not helpless, and we are not powerless, and there is no reason to feel hopeless, even though sometimes we might. But knowledge is power. Donald certainly doesn't know anything. And the Trump regime is full of ignorant sycophants who are only there for their own corrupt power, which is not strength. So we want to provide some resources for protesters in LA and beyond so we can keep protecting ourselves and our neighbors. If you're in Los Angeles or Southern California in general, the ACLU has provided a list of key numbers either to report ICE activities or to contact legal representation. So please put these numbers in your phones. We're also going to include them in today's show notes on YouTube, like right underneath the video after the show wraps. Additionally, you need to know your rights if you are approached by ICE agents. First of all, do not open, if you're home, do not open the door without a signed federal warrant. 2, you have the right to stay silent. Use it. Do not speak. 3, do not sign anything you don't understand. I would say don't sign anything at all. 4, you can ask for a lawyer. Just a quick thing about these so-called ICE agents. I don't believe that all of the people purporting to be ICE agents actually are ICE agents. So if somebody claiming to be an ICE agent is not wearing a uniform, is wearing a mask, is wearing civilian clothes, is driving around in an unmarked vehicle, does not have any identification to show you, I would be very suspicious. One more quick tip, because this is something that came up when I was getting ready to travel back to the States, and I knew that there was a possibility that I might not be let back in or I would be detained. It didn't make sense for me to get a burner phone or to scrub my social media because there's plenty of evidence of what my opinions are. But, I don't want anybody getting into my personal material. So I was told to disable face recognition on my phone. Because if you don't, they can take your phone. They can demand your phone. They can take your phone from you. But you don't want them just being able to hold it up and opening your phone, right? So if you disable face recognition, they can't do that. And even though they can take your phone, they do not have the right to force you to give them your password. So if you go to a protest, disable face recognition. Okay, so to wrap things up, I wanted to highlight a group that's doing important work in Southern California. This is the Immigrant Defenders Law Center. This is Southern California's largest nonprofit immigration defense organization. They work for free to protect immigrants from unlawful deportations, arrests, and more. I strongly encourage you to take a look at their website and consider supporting their work. We're going to be posting a video tomorrow on more resources for the maritime media community and beyond. So once that becomes available, please do share it with as many people as possible. And, I'm not going to pretend that we don't live in scary times. It would be absurd to pretend otherwise. I honestly think that, some people think that the definition of bravery is not being afraid. No, that's absurd. We're human beings. We should be afraid sometimes. Bravery is being afraid and doing the right thing anyway, right? So let's dilute our fear by showing up in huge numbers, showing up in solidarity, showing up together. Be peaceful. Do not give in. Do not be provoked by these thugs. Do not give them what they want. What do they want? Well, 1, they want us so afraid that we don't show up. 2, if we do show up, they want us to take the bait. Don't do it. Keep looking out for one another and keep resisting. One more quick thing before I get to your questions and comments. If you belong to the Banned Book Club or are a founding member of the channel, we've posted this month's book for book club and the date. So again, for those of you who aren't aware, we have paid YouTube subscriptions at different levels. And at one level, we have a Banned Book Club. So if you haven't joined, please do. I'm really excited about this one. This is in honor of Pride Month. We're spotlighting the book. It's a memoir by George M. Johnson called All Boys Aren't Blue. This is a very powerful collection of personal essays. I can talk. And it's Johnson's exploration of what it meant for him to grow up Black and queer in America. Just to give us more incentive to go out and buy it. It's been banned in Florida, Texas, South Carolina, Iowa, Missouri, and Tennessee. It was selected in celebration of Banned Books Week. It is a very honest, unflinching portrayal, and I think the message in it is an affirmative one. So very excited about that. Book Club meets the last Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern. This is right after Mary Trump Live. And this month's book club meeting will be Thursday, June 26th at 7 p.m. This is going to be an exclusive live stream, and we'll be posting it closer to the date. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. So I'm very happy to be doing with it a lot of you. And I think this is a great book to start with, especially given that it's Pride. And as we know, the LGBTQ plus community is under almost constant threat. So thank you for standing with us. And please reach out to info@marytrumpmedia.com if you have any other questions about any of this. All right. Onward to your questions and comments. Oops, sorry. There we go. All right. Suki56, thank you so much as always. Good to have you here. Let's see what we got. Comment. Greetings and salutations, Mary. Greetings and salutations to you. I guess if the name can be changed to Newscomb, his name is Donald Trump. I'm so sorry you're related to him. Yeah, same. He should just go play golf and hit his balls. Just saying. Well, the way he plays golf, I would not be surprised if there were some accidental flogging going on. He's terrible. Thank you, Suki56. Oh, there you go. Again. Thank you. Comment. Mary, I live in LA, and this is very scary, illegal, and unconstitutional. With great power comes great responsibility. Question. When will Donald learn this? Just saying. Never. Never. He just wants the power. He doesn't care about the responsibility. And he doesn't really care about the power. Like, he certainly doesn't care about wielding it well. So, yeah, this is just a completely unvarnished and very dangerous power grab. So, yeah, I think everybody has a right to be worried. And we will be keeping our eyes on this constantly. We promise. Elaine, super sticker. Thank you so much, Elaine. Nightowl, Ohio, just joined as a new member. Fabulous. Thank you. Layla, also new member. Thank you, Layla. Excellent. And Nacho's mom, another new member. I love this. Catherine, thank you so very much, Catherine. Comment. Hi, Mary. Been a while. Yeah. Had to find my own emotional support last week. Glad you're back. Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, we all have other things that we have to do sometimes. And, the community here is phenomenal, but the news is not. So I completely get it. But I am very glad you're back. I'm very glad I'm back. And I'm very glad we're all here together. Michael, comment. As a former Marine, I denounce this misuse of the Corps. Thank you, Michael. That's extremely important to hear from a former Marine. I hope all Marines feel the same way, because they should. It is very clear. And I think something we need to be very mindful of as well. No soldier, no officer, no active military member can follow an illegal order. The problem is, well, one problem is I'm sure some of them would, but the bigger problem is, how do you know if the order being given to you is illegal? So we need to hope that there is some way for our service members to be told such things. Jerry, another new member. Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. And DMOM10, another one. Fantastic. Thank you. Mighty Cheryl, as always, thank you, Mighty Cheryl. Gifted yet another Married Trump Media membership. Fantastic. Love my dogs a lot. Thank you so much, as always. And you've got a comment. Taco sycophants have the nerve to say nobody's above the law, but forget to add the words except Donald Trump. The hypocrisy causes my hair to burst into flames. I know, it's just so awful. The fact that he calls people insurrectionists when he incited an insurrection and is an insurrectionist himself and a seditionist. The fact that, he says things like immigrants don't work hard and don't pay taxes. Well, those things apply to him, not to them. The fact that he calls them criminals when he is somebody who's been convicted of 34 felonies. And if our system weren't so irreparably broken and the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court had not placed him above the law, he would be in prison right now. It's yes, I'm right there with you. I'm shocked that our heads haven't exploded at this point. Eileen, super sticker. Wow, Eileen, thank you so much. That's extremely generous of you. Much, much appreciated. Christine, another new member. That is excellent. Thank you. Lee Pierce, another one. Thank you. Love having all these new members. This is really great. Yeah, we're really excited about the membership levels. And seriously, if you haven't already, please check them out. PJ, thank you, PJ. That is amazing. Really amazing. You guys have no idea how much this stuff helps us, so thank you. Matilda, comment, thank you for speaking the truth. You know what's fascinating about speaking the truth? It's really easy. Question, where are the rest of the Marys? Trust me, one is more than enough. But there are plenty of people out there fighting the good fight. I think the problem is they're all kind of scattered. So we've got to figure that one out for sure. Nina Annette, comment, hugs from Europe, stay safe and strong. Just wonder how the heck this will end. Yeah, well, don't we all? And I'm actually heading over to Europe in less than a month. I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, it's great to be back, but I think it's good to get a break from this place once in a while. I mean, I'm not pretending that everything is just totally fine and easy over in Europe either, but hopefully for your sanity, not quite as unrelenting and hideous as it is here. Rebecca, comment, be peaceful, don't give them a reason to be otherwise. Absolutely, I heartily concur. Whiskey Wench, comment, if anyone is in the capital region in upstate New York, the No Kings Rally on June 14th is on Wolf Road. All right. Upstate New York, No Kings Rally, June 14th. That's this coming Saturday. Wolf Road. Check it out. Like, everybody should be going to one of those, seriously. That's got to be, they have to be massive this weekend. I mean, if you saw the number of tanks being transported to DC to inflate Donald's pathetic little ego and literally destroy the roads in DC and Virginia, it would make you want to go to one of these No Kings rallies even more. Richard, super sticker. Thanks so much, Richard. Awesome. Natalie, new member. Thank you so much, Natalie. Really appreciate that. And Kathleen, another super sticker. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Kathleen. You guys are great. One more thing, a bit of an update here. I don't know if you heard, but California Union Leader David Huerta was arrested Friday during a protest against the Trump regime's immigration crackdown. He was shoved to the ground during the arrest. He had to be sent to the hospitals for his injuries. He was then taken into custody. He's been out. He's on, as of today, he's out on $50,000 bond. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens with that. Okay, that does it for us. Yeah, another fascinating non-weekend, honestly. So I hope you guys got a little bit of downtime anyway. First of all, thank you to everybody who's watching on YouTube, everybody who's streaming from Twitter and from my Substack, The Good in Us. Love having you here. And to everybody who's listening to the podcast, to all of our new paid YouTube members, we love having you here. We truly hope that you're enjoying the extras, and please let us know what you think. We're really curious to know how it's going. If there's you have any suggestions, anything you'd like to see. And again, for those who don't know, this has nothing to do with subscribing to our channel. Subscribing to our channel is free. That gives you access to all the videos on our page, all of the live things we do, Ask Mary Anything Within Reason, Mary Trump Live, the Nerd Avengers, which by the way is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. We do standalone videos every single day. That is all yours. The paid subs are just extras. There are a few different levels. And we really do think that you will enjoy the content. So please check it out. It's all on the homepage, all on our YouTube channel. Mary Trump Media YouTube channel page. Thank you to our awesome moderators for doing such a phenomenal job. And of course, to my extraordinary team who basically never, ever, ever seems to get any time off because the world won't stop, even on Saturdays and Sundays. So thanks, guys. Truly appreciate it. I know today was a particularly tough one because it's not just the volume of news. It's all quite bad news. So it's a lot to sift through and it's a lot to deal with. So really appreciate that your willingness and professionalism and, making me seem like I know what I'm talking about. That's also fun. Anyway, guys, that does it for us. I will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. because tomorrow's Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern with the Nerd Avengers. I'm so excited. It's been like 3 weeks since we've all been together. So the band is getting back. And then, of course, again at 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. I will see you then. So please, in the meantime, stay safe and be kind.